All right, good evening, class. We're going to cover, or this video will cover Unit I for Microsoft Office Excel 2013, which is working with charts. The objectives in this unit are to understand and plan a chart. And what we mean by that is charts are very useful visual aids for presentations or communicating a point. But the vast majority of the challenge with a chart is learning or determining how to, number one, create a chart, and number two, what type of chart to use so that you can effectively communicate your point. So that's what we're going to attempt to touch on some of those points here. Let's see, the second objective is how to create a chart. We're going to learn how to move and resize charts and chart objects. We're going to also learn how to apply chart layouts and styles. We're going to customize chart elements and enhance a chart. Let's see, create a pie chart and create spark lines. Alright, so let's see, to do that, we need to understand a few things about a chart to begin with. And I'm going to pause for 1 second. Okay. There are several different parts of a chart, some of them we need to understand for this course. First is horizontal axis, or the x-axis. If you recall your x and y axis from math, some of the math courses you may have taken in the past referring to the same thing. X-axis is the horizontal line at the base of the chart. The vertical axis or the y-axis is the vertical line at the left edge of the chart that provides some values. Axis titles is merely that. It's just an identifier for each axis. The data series is the sequence of related numbers that shows a trend, so that's going to be the data that we're going to plot in our chart. A data marker is a single chart symbol that represents one value in a data series. For example, if we were plotting monthly sales for a region and we wanted to insert a data marker to show the sales for a particular month along a, let's just say on a line chart to show the trend going up or down, we could do that. So those are some of the different parts of the chart that we need to understand. Let's see, moving on to the next slide. There are a few other pieces of the chart that we need to understand. The legend is similar to what you would expect to see like on a map. It identifies what each data series represents. The grid lines, there are grid lines on some charts, vertical and horizontal lines that help identify the value for each data series. The plot area is the part of the chart that contained within the horizontal and vertical axis. That's where your chart itself will be contained. And then the chart area is the entire chart and all of the chart elements. So, and just a couple of additional bullet points here. When you're working on planning out your chart, you first want to identify the purpose of the data and choose the appropriate chart type. And then you want to design an Excel worksheet that helps you create the chart you want. So let's see, we're not going to cover the figures in this presentation. I'll let you review those as you go through your tutorial. Let's see here, and let's make this a little bit bigger so we can look at these different chart types. So there's several different types of charts. You have an area chart, a bar chart. Those are popular. They start from the left-hand side of your screen or your y-axis and move to the right. The column chart is also a very popular type of chart. A line chart usually shows a trend over time. Like, for example, if I was a project manager and I had to complete X number of projects in a year, I might want to chart my progress from month to month using a line chart that would indicate where I started in January, and it would grow across the chart and trend upward, or should trend upward as I move throughout the year. A pie chart shows the relationship of parts to a whole, and then a scatter chart shows relationships between two kinds of related data. Okay, so let's see. To create a chart, you always want to have your data available to you in an Excel spreadsheet. And then to create that chart, we're going to select the cells containing the data that you want to chart. So I'm going to flip over to our data file for Unit I, and we're going to plot some of this data. Now, I'm not going to follow along in the book or as the book does. I'm just going to simply demonstrate how to create a pie chart. So in this case, we've got 4 regions: the Northeast, Southeast, Midwest, and West. And these are their sales for the first quarter of the year, January, February, March. And you have a total column for each region, and you have a total column for each month. So what we're interested in plotting is the portion of the for January, the portion of the total sales. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to highlight our regions. We're going to highlight, well, let's see, we're going to highlight our regions, our month, our regions, and our data. And we're going to insert, go to the Insert tab, we're going to insert a pie chart. We want a 3D pie chart as such. And now you can see that based off the data that I selected, I created a pie chart. It's that simple. So I selected my 4 regions. You can see in the legend over to the right, blue is for Northeast, that reddish color is for the Southeast, the green is Midwest, and the purple is the West. Now, I can also, let's see, from this view, I can, and you'll notice the contextual menu for the chart tools that is created when I have the chart selected. I can change my layout. I can create data labels. Let's see. Let's do on the outside end. So you can see I changed the layout and put my data labels on the outside, and they represent which each section or proportion of the pie chart represents. And I can do that several different ways. I can put the best fit. I put some on top of the data. Let's see, chart title. I can remove. I can center, overlay the title. There's several different features that I can use in the layout, on the Layout tab. And then the Format tab is just some further formatting. You can see if I hover over different styles, our chart changes along with it. That's not very effective telling a story. I certainly don't want a solid color. I like the colors that I've got. It helps tell the story, so we're going to stick with that. And that's how you create a chart. Pretty straightforward. Just highlight the correct data. You always have to start with that first. And then you so go to the Insert tab, select the type of chart that you want, and insert it, and Excel will do that for you. Now, let's say that I wanted to plot the first quarter for all the regions, looking at the progress using a line chart. Let's say with data points, I would insert, whoops, let me grab that chart and move it over here. And you can see the x-axis across the bottom has the regions. The y-axis up the left side of the screen has the values, and the in this case, the way my data is represented, the lines represent a month. So that's probably not the most effective way. And here's a good example of not planning my chart correctly. But in this case, you can see the data markers for February for the Northeast. Looks like they had 66,000 in sales. The Southeast had 155,000 in sales. Let's see, the Midwest had 166,000, and looks like the West had 198,000. So that's an example of a line chart. So let's see, let's delete that, and let's try something a little different. Let's just try our Northeast. Let's insert a line chart. I'll do 3D. Okay, so now you can see a chart that makes a little more sense. We start in January with $55,000 in sales. February, we're up a little bit, 66,000, and then March we jump way up to $154,000 in sales. So this makes more sense. A line chart typically shows results across time, time being the months listed across the bottom. So those are a couple examples of how to create a chart. Now going back to our slide presentation, let's see, we covered these points just a minute ago when I demonstrated how to insert a chart. We had the data in our worksheet. We selected those cells that we wanted to contain in the chart. We went to the Insert tab and chose the chart type that we wanted. and then we changed. Let's see, changes to the worksheet are automatically reflected in the chart data. I can demonstrate that, and then you can change the chart type to what will best illustrate the data, and also demonstrate an example of that. So let's say, for example, if I figured out that my sales were reported wrong for the month of March for the Northeast, they're actually $124,876 instead of $154. I could go into my data table, change my value, and watch my line chart. Really, both charts should update, but watch my line chart. Okay, so now it's changed. You notice that the line moved upward and the scale got smaller. So now my data point is at, let's see, 124,876. You can see when I hover over that data point. So that's one of the powerful things about Excel is if you link your objects like charts, pie charts, line charts, any other type of object to data in a worksheet, anytime that data changes, the object changes with it. Makes it very, very convenient. Alright, so we're going to skip the next couple of slides since we're not going to cover the figures. Let's see, moving and resizing chart elements. Just a minute ago you saw me move a chart from one side of the screen to the other. By clicking the chart, you can see I get the four-way arrow, and I can click the border and move it left or right, up or down. I can move it wherever I wish. Or on my design tab, if I want to move my chart to another tab, I'll select the chart, and to the right I have a move chart button. I click that button and it gives me some options. Do I want the chart to remain an object in sheet 1, which is where I'm at because I'm on the sheet 1 tab, you can see at the bottom of the screen, or do I want to move it to a new sheet, and I can name it. In this case, I'm going to name it pie chart. Click OK. Now we'll wait for Excel to process it, and you can see Excel created a new tab called pie chart, and it moved my chart to that tab. So those are a couple ways that you can move a chart within a worksheet or to a new worksheet altogether. Okay. Let's see, we can select and drag, move the chart. We covered that. Resize the chart by dragging one of the sizing handles. We can also do that. So we can go back to our line chart, and now that I've moved my pie chart, I'm going to put my line chart out here to the right where it makes it easy to see. And if I want to resize a chart, I can drag from any of the handles. There's 3 on each side. You get the dotted handle there. You get the corner handle on each corner. Let's say I just want to make this chart a little bit bigger. I can click and drag that corner. Now my chart's bigger. And now I want to move it so it's not in the way. And that's how you resize a chart. You can also use these handles. That kind of shrinks my chart and makes it a little bit distorted. Probably the best way to resize really any object in Excel or any Microsoft Office application is to grab a corner and drag it in or out. Because when you do that, it changes the height and width proportional to how you move it. Okay. Let's see. Also, elements in the chart. If I want to resize my title, I can click my chart title. Oops, let's see here. Should be able to resize the chart title. Alright, let's see. Should be able to resize or move those around. You can say that's how you move it, and you should be able to click and drag that corner. Let's try here. Okay. So the title, not so much, but the legend, it allows you to resize the object there. You need to stretch it one way or the other. The chart title, I believe you have to, let's see, chart title. Yeah, you can, here are some options to manipulate the chart title on the layout tab, so that's the reason why there's a set of options there. Same thing below, you can resize the values on the x-axis across the bottom. So that's how you resize chart elements or chart objects. Let's see, applying chart layout. We demonstrated that a few minutes ago You can use a predefined arrangement of chart elements. Chart styles, a predefined set of colors. I demonstrated that a few minutes ago when we were showing, let's see, the different colors. If I hover, let's select the chart itself, and when I hover or select, you can see it changes colors any style I select. So if I undo, I can go back to my original colors. So those are chart styles. Chart layouts are similar. They'll use a predefined, let's see here, chart styles rather, not layouts. We can choose any of these different styles. We can choose colors, different color schemes, whichever one that we see the most appropriate. I like the one that has the contrasting colors, makes it easy to read. So those are chart styles and shape styles that we just covered. All right, let's see. Whoops. All right, so chart objects have default settings. Customizable chart objects are the chart title, axis title, legend, data, labels, axes, grid lines, plot area, and data table. And the data table is a grid containing the chart's worksheet data. This grid is added below the x-axis in certain kinds of charts. So in that case, if we were to add a data table, it would appear below the chart here. It would and certain types of chart styles allow for that. Let's see here. Chart title, data labels. Okay, sorry, I had to pause for just a second. Let's see, we discussed data table, but quickly, the data table would be a grid that indicated the different regions and the values for those regions below. Looks similar to what an Excel spreadsheet would look like. That's what we would find with a data table on our chart. All right, let's see, moving on. Enhancing a chart. You can enhance a chart with different styles and effects, which improves its visual appeal and effectiveness. Any selected chart element can be modified in a variety of ways. Apply shape, style, adjust the fill, outline, and shape effects, and apply word art. An example below, this is an example of an enhanced chart object. This would be the chart title. You can see the shadowing in the background, the bold letters, the fill color had been changed. So that's an example of enhancing an object. All right, creating a pie chart. We demonstrated this earlier. As we stated, it's an effective tool for comparing the relative values of, that should say, parts to a whole, and adding a pie chart to the worksheet or add it to a separate chart sheet. And a chart sheet is a sheet in a workbook that contains all your charts. So we demonstrated that earlier on our spreadsheet. This would be our chart sheet that we just demonstrated. How to relocate that chart. And to recap, we can use this line chart as an example. We would select our chart, and on the design tab of the contextual chart tools tab, we would select move chart, and then we have the option to leave the object in a certain spreadsheet or a certain worksheet, or we can create a new sheet and then we can name it whatever we wish. Like if we wanted to name it line chart, type in line chart and click OK, and now our line chart has been moved to its own worksheet or chart sheet, and it has the tab specifies or contains the name that we specified. Okay. All right, let's see. Looking at spark lines. Spark lines are a pretty neat feature to Microsoft Excel, they're basically tiny charts that fit in one cell and illustrate trends in selected cells. And there's 3 types of spark lines you can add. One's a line spark line. It's a miniature line chart that is ideal for showing a trend over a period of time. Let's see, a column spark line is a tiny column chart that indicates a bar for each cell in a selected range. And then a win-loss spark line shows that should say 2 types of bars, one for gains, one for losses. So let's see if we can demonstrate that on in our trend column. Let's see, we want to insert other charts. If I can find it, I'm using Microsoft Office 2007 for this lecture, and I know 2013 has a sparklines button. Let's see, bear with me for 1 second. Okay, as I feared, sparklines are not available in the Excel application until 2010. So, but to cover that topic for you using Excel 2013, simply what you would do would highlight the data that you want to use or base your sparkline on. You go to the Insert tab. You would have a button for sparklines on the ribbon. You would select that button, and then it would ask you what type of sparkline, and you would choose line. And then if you would base that, you would start the insertion from the trend cell. So just to recap one more time, click the cell that you want to insert your sparkline, go to the Insert tab, find the sparkline button on Excel 2013. It will be on the ribbon. Click that button, and it'll give you 1 of 3 options. You'll choose the line sparkline option, and it'll populate a small line in your trend cell, in the cell that you have highlighted. And once you've completed that for the first set of data, then you can just click the fill handle and drag down, and it will populate the sparkline for the subsequent rows of data. So that's how that would work. Alright, let's see. So that's spark lines. Let's move on to, and actually looks like, let's see if I've got a couple examples here, spark lines. So in this case, from current slide, here's an example of how the process would work. So we'll demonstrate it here. Let's see. You've got the range, you've got the cell selected, the trend cell that you want to insert a spark line. You would select the Insert tab. Alright, and then you can see there's a sparklines group here, and you've got 3 different types: line, column, and win and loss. You would select the line button, and then this dialog box would pop up and would ask you the data range that you would like to use. So in this case, we want to use the data range column B4 to D, or excuse me, the data range B4 to D4. This is cell B4 through D4, highlighted in red. So that would be the data range that we would use. Then it asks you where you would like to locate the spark line, and you would click your button here on the right, and you would select the trend cell, and then click OK. And then it would populate a spark line. Let's see if it gives us a picture, and you can see here in the trend cell that's what your spark lines would look like. Okay, you've got, and what it does is it's plotting the trend from January, February, and March for each row. So in January we started at 55,000. You can see down here we went up slightly to 66,000 in February. You can see the slight increase on the trend line, and then we had a big jump in March from 66,000 to 154. So the line increases way up. So it shows your trend moving up. One more example for the Southeast: started at 86,000 in January. So we started here. We jumped way up to 155,000 in February, went to the high point, and then we started a downward trend for March where we only had 81,000 in sales, and you can see the line trends back down. So this is a good way, particularly if you have several rows of data and you need to know what the trend is, to plot that trend without adding a huge chart to the right. You can look row by row, column by column, region by region, whatever the need is there. So that's spark lines. They're very useful, and you'll see these in your tutorial. And that's going to conclude the video for Unit I. I'll post this on the Integrity classes and YouTube. And if you If you have not completed your assignments yet, your assignments are posted, and I would highly recommend viewing the video that I have posted on the Tegrity classes for the sample Excel test. That will probably help you with your assignments. It will also definitely help you with your Excel exam. So if you haven't reviewed that video, look under the menu on the left hand side of the screen, Tegrity classes, Excel sample test, along with these other videos that this one we've just completed in the video for Unit G and H. So thanks, and if you have any questions, send me a message through course messages. Thank you.